Welcome to Revelation chapter 12, the woman and the dragon. As a quick review, remember we started with the 7 seals, then the 7 trumpets, and we've had the 7th trumpet sound, and that will lead us to, or we're about to have that. Then we've got the 7 bowls of God's wrath that are going to be poured out. But now things take a different turn in chapter 12. John just sees something else just immediately that catches his attention, and he starts talking about this. And he's going to introduce us to the dragon, and the dragon is Satan, and it is the one that has been the opposer to Christ and the opposer to God. The woman that is going to refer to is Israel, and her son is Jesus, of course. We also see Michael, the archangel. We call him an archangel. In Daniel chapter 10, we're introduced to him, and he has come to help Gabriel fight off the prince of Persia, so that Gabriel can come and explain Daniel's dream to him and tell him about the times, the end times. So all of that ties together, but we get introduced to several new characters in this book, in this chapter of Revelation. So let's go ahead and get started, and we'll talk about it a little bit when we finish, but really we don't know a lot of things, so we're just going to read it and see what it says. A great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and with the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. She was pregnant and cried out in pain as she was about to give birth. Then another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on its heads. Its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to the earth. The dragon stood in front of the woman who was about to give birth, so that it might devour her child the moment he was born. She gave birth to a son, a male child, who will rule all the nations with an iron scepter. And her child was snatched up to God and to his throne. The woman fled into the wilderness, to a place prepared for her by God, where she might be taken care of for 1,260 days, 42 months, just like we heard about in Daniel, and we've already heard that number in Revelation. Then war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But he was not strong enough and lost his place in heaven. They lost their place in heaven. The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil or Satan, who leads the world astray. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him. Then I heard a loud voice in heaven say, "Now have come the salvation and the power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Messiah. For the accuser of our brothers and sisters, who accuses them before God day and night, have been hurled down. They triumphed over him by the blood of the Lamb, and by the word of their testimony. They did not love their lives so much as to shrink from death. Therefore rejoice, you heavens, and you who dwell in them. But woe to the earth and the sea, because the devil has gone down to you. He is filled with fury, because he knows his time is short." When the dragon saw that he had been hurled to the earth, he pursued the woman who gave birth to the male child, who had given birth to the male child. I want to get every word right. The woman was given the 2 wings of a great eagle, so that she might fly to the place prepared for her in the wilderness, where she would be taken care of for a time, times, and half a time. We see that expression in Daniel, referring to 3.5 years. And out of the serpent's reach. Then from his mouth the serpent spewed water like a river to overtake the woman and sweep her away with the torrent. But the earth helped the woman by opening its mouth and swallowing the river that the dragon had spewed out of his mouth. Then the dragon was enraged at the woman and went off to wage war against the rest of her offspring, those who keep God's commands and hold fast to their testimony about Jesus. Okay, so there's a lot to take in Revelation chapter 12. You could spend ages studying it. But our purpose is not to create a real study of Revelation where we go back and we find all the other verses that point to things and how this matches up with some of the things that Jesus tells us in Matthew 24 and 25, or how some of the things in Daniel 10, 11, and 12 fit together with this. Our purpose is to read it and for you to listen to it and to ponder these words. And we want to keep up with some of the characters. The next chapter we cover is going to be dealing with the beast, which is what we call the Antichrist and the false prophet. They will be introduced in the next one, and they serve the dragon. But what we want to look at now and take just a moment is understanding the 1260 days and the protection that God has already prepared for this woman as she is going to be pursued by the dragon, which is Satan. And we know that God has a plan, and God's plan is taking place. But Satan is a part of it. And when we wonder about that, we have to go back to the first chapter of Job, and we see how God and Satan go together. They actually seem to communicate with each other, and they talk to each other. And that interchange that we saw in Job is sort of like what's going on now. Satan knows his time is short. And so as his time is short, he is trying to take more and more people out of Jesus' hand. And he is trying to convince more and more people to leave Jesus. And he is deceiving them. And that is why so many things that we see in the world around us today are becoming difficult to believe. You don't know what to believe. You can see it with your eyes, yet you know with video editing and the things that people have been doing, we can be tricked with what we see. You don't know to trust what you're hearing, because now we have such artificial intelligence that we can duplicate sound. We can create so many things artificially, which is giving that deception the feet that it needs to run through these final days. And so those are the things to keep in mind. The biggest thing is that every part of Revelation 12 lets us know God is in command. And it is the blood of the Lamb that is going to help us overcome Satan. That is the part that I picked up on that means the most to me when in chapter 12, verse 11, where it says, they, talking about the brothers and sisters that are going to be opposing Satan, it says they triumphed over him, Satan, by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. And, this is the key part, they did not love their lives so much as to shrink from death. Yes, this is talking about the people whose lives will be lost because they believe in Jesus. This is the persecution that is yet to come. We have only seen the very beginning of it. It is going to get a lot worse. And the persecution is going to be what makes the church tougher, makes the church stronger, and we're going to be able to stand up, and we're going to be able to repel the temptation and the deception that Satan brings. But I wanted to share this with you. It's now going to get interesting. We pick up on the beast next time, and I hope that you're continuing to get a blessing from this. Thanks for watching.